All right. So our trade fairs back. They took a hiatus after the COVID pandemic, but they seem to be gradually returning. Here in Nigeria, there's an upcoming Agrofood and Plastprintpack trade show, which will feature a number of SMEs showcasing their products. And we're happy to have Freyja Detjen, who is the Senior Product Manager at Fairtrade Messe, that joins us to discuss further who is, of course, the organizer of this trade fair. So Fairtrade Messe, it's, I guess, the organizer of this trade fair that's coming up in Tuesday? Next week, here in Lagos.
Tuesday to Thursday, yes.
Fantastic. So tell us about it. I know the Agro-allied part, but what's the plastic print pack part? We can explain that for us.
Yeah, sure. I mean, Agrofood is also covering the whole value chain about agriculture, food ingredients, food and beverage technology, and food and hospitality. And Plastprintpack is connected to this. So the Plastprintpack the topic is packaging material, packaging machines. It's about plastic machinery, which comes to the topic of PET, of recycling, of course. And then the printing part is about printing, for example, labeling or other printing for packaging, which is then afterwards presented in the supermarket, for example.
Gotcha. So we just had, heard the governor-elect of Abia State coming in, talking about how he wants to turn his economy around. Some governors, he's a new one. Others, like in Lagos, were re-elected. Mm-hmm. There's a competition for capital and all these trade fairs. And yours is in Lagos, which is, that's fine. If an Abia State or another state wanted to attract you guys to do a trade fair there, what would the states have to do? What would you have to see to go in there to do a trade fair there?
Well, Lagos for us, it's the major commercial hub of the region, and this is why we decided to come here. Not only the commercial hub for Nigeria, also for West Africa. And we as an international exhibition organizer, having a lot of international companies coming, so we need to give them a certain infrastructure, which is an exhibition ground, hotels, transportation, and also, of course, to attract as many visitors to make it possible for Nigerians from all these states to travel to one certain point. So infrastructure is the key, and we concentrate on these hubs when, as international organizer, we are having our exhibitions in Accra, in Abidjan, in Addis Ababa. So an alternative here in Nigeria would be definitely Abuja, because they are also, in Abuja, we have this infrastructure to allow people, a certain amount of people to come together.
See, basically, you've laid it out. You've got to have the infrastructure, the hotels, everything's got to be laid out. So great. So it was very interesting. Lagos and Abuja continues to dominate things here. Food, I want to ask your thoughts since the agro-allied industry is part of this trade fair. We had an MPC meeting, Monetary Policy Committee meeting recently, and the central bank governor talked about 3 challenges facing food supplies in Nigeria. I think 1, he said, was the increased cost of transportation on roads. 2, he saidสิ่issues around food producing areas, and then 3, legacy infrastructure issues. What is your view of the agro-allied industry for Nigeria? What's your assessment of it?
Yeah, I mean, there are a lot of topics ongoing. This is why we're also having the conference ongoing during the exhibition, talking about topics also about cold chain transportation, about post-harvest loss, about a lot of topics that I invite everybody to come on site to discuss. And we have the exhibitors offering solutions for it. But what is the background of all this? And the discussion is also the inflation rate.
Inflation,
I mean, inflation, we don't only have it in Nigeria, it's a problem across the world. And our idea of fighting against this inflation problem is local production and local labor. So to allow to have more production here in Nigeria, and as a conclusion, to bring more people into jobs.
Attract more jobs. That's always it. Okay, so what's the landmark, right? Next on Tuesday. What if you got a stall at this trade fair? What's the benefit? What's the benefit for the country, SMEs, business, and so on?
Yeah, like in the end, if I was an MSME, I would go to get valuable business contacts, to learn, but at the same time to bring my own problems in, to bring my own experience in, to discuss about what can be improved, but also what I can share about my experience, and not only do it for me, myself, in my office or in my factory.
Okay. So those are the kind of benefits. Now, I want to ask you about trade. Of course, recently, a couple of years ago, the Africa Continental Free Trade Area Agreement was launched. What does, in your view, do we need to see for trade within Africa to, if possible, reach the highs of intra-European trade or the Americas or Asia? What has to happen to build up trade here in Africa?
I think we need more time on this perspective.
Okay.
And I mean, if we take a look at Europe, we have, like I'm coming from Germany, so I can say we had a very similar experience. When we first built up the European Union, we were putting a lot of restrictions and regulations and customs, and 40 years later, we were taking them back and we were getting to one currency, for example. So it is more time needed, and it's also to focus more on not thinking, okay, we need to export to Europe, Asia or America, to say, hey, we're having neighboring countries, they're having a certain demand. We can do business together to reunion. I mean, this is also the idea.
Yeah.
But what we need from the governmental side here is more infrastructure, again, on street, on roads and rail.
Hey, streets, road, rail. We're trying to get our rail up. Is this the 18th or the 8th edition?
8th.
Of it? 8th,
yeah, 2015
right?
was the first one. Now
Fine. So what have you learned? What's the experience been like as you push forward with more of these trade fairs?
Oh wow, a lot. Especially this exhibition life, that people are coming together and Nigerians are understanding that they don't need to travel abroad. Again, like we don't need to go to Dubai or Paris. This is the international exhibitors and the national companies that are participating to Agrofood and Plastprintpack. They are bringing their solutions for the market, and they are often already in the market. So it's about focusing on what we are having here and to discuss together for improvement. And there is a lot of technology and solutions already around that we just need to share, to talk about. This is the idea of an exhibition.
Since you mentioned the whole plastic and recycling, there's a lot of pollution here, right? I mean, there are drainages that are blocked because plastics are thrown in there. Will there be a lot of emphasis on recycling and on reusable plastics, and how to is that going to be a talking point at your trade fair? It's
a part, like food processing, like the creation, but then also the next part is packaging. Like for example, we're having one of our exhibitors who have active for 20 years already in the market, and they will also have a PET recycling conference session on site on the second day of the exhibition.
All right, so beginning is Tuesday next week, right, at the Landmark. Fantastic stuff. Freyja Detjen, who is the Senior Project Manager at Fairtrade Messe, that is ahead with organizing this trade fair. We thank you so much for your time. Appreciate you coming on.
Thank you.